access to
created my own little algorithms to do one thing or another, like disease states, a mortality algorithm. And
I think you will have a whole levels of robotics, that humanoid robots or non-humanoid robots, whatever the case is.
But the one that I really gravitated towards was Alteryx. Low code, no code, business intelligence stuff, data science, machine learning, things like that.
Audio, text, and then there's big metaverse buzz. Everybody knows the metaverse.
Another week of AI.
Yeah, I recently got a text that said, "Hey, it's been a while. I remember that you were real sexy. I'm trying to figure out what you look like now." And they used the WYLLN, right? So what was I going to do? Of course, I sent the picture. No, I'm kidding. So, but in reality, there's so many ways that people are being tricked, right? And unfortunately, if it's hard for us as adults, it is even more hard for our young people, because they, by nature, they are brave and courageous and think the world, nothing can happen to them. They're bulletproof. And if you haven't educated your children, because you don't want them to be scared of the internet, but here's the possibilities, here's updates. You stay updated on the things people do. Have some basic rules in place of what we don't do, and not just what we don't do. Explain to them why, right? Monitor where appropriately. There are so many parental controls that are now available that make old parental controls look like, child's play. But the thing is, it's not spying when it's your kid. So make sure that you have these conversations. You don't want them scared, but you do want them aware, right? And in that space, things can be very dangerous for them, right? Whether you're an adult or a child, blackmail for the things that people do, right? It's just things people do, and it may be real content, it may be imagined content, so whatever it is that you would normally do, be ready to level it up and let that be your new normal.
Yeah, I mean, Masako, we have tons of movie reference here. What Bobby just described is part of that movie called Afraid. So they spelled afraid with AI in the middle, because you can spell afraid and AI in the middle. I thought that was very, very clever. So they named it Afraid, and they literally just went through this whole deep fake videos, fake publicity stunt, all sorts of things. But when you watch AI movies, you kind of feel like it's happening to them, right? Mm-hmm. Opportunity for us is to say, when it's happening to them, how do we prepare what's not happening to us yet, right? How do we become aware? Brian mentioned the fundamentals, right? So the end half of this discussion, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the foundation, the fundamental information that you kind of have to create that in your head like a building block, right? Say, okay, I know this bottom piece. I don't know the third piece. I don't know the fourth piece. And if you know anything about IT, it's literally based on foundation after foundation after foundation. Like everything matters there, right? This foundation links to that foundation links to that other foundation. But then again, we go into the full world of AI full world of internet connection that's happening throughout the world, and we'll do that maybe in the second hour. But Masako, the foundations that we will talk about, we are discussing that for the purpose of data literacy, right? Because your passion is to help the parents to engage the kids, help the parents to find meaningful employment, help them find meaningful things that they can do that is flexible while they're raising a child, right? So I think we are kind of hitting back to that over and over. The family, the kids, the moms, the dads, we all have to talk about that. So let's talk about it, because that's who you are. You're the subject matter expert of that. So what do you think about that? Like, how do we get the data literacy and create that bridge, right? I want to bridge that gap. How do we do that?
Well, you start like you guys have began this evening with foundational principles and chopping it down in bite-sized pieces. Oftentimes with parents having young children, your mind is everywhere at the same time where it needs to just be one place. So with cybersecurity, with AI, with data literacy, our whole premise is to be able to have a career where you're able to focus in time gaps and then get yourself back to be present with your children. And with these three things that we're discussing, data literacy, AI, cybersecurity, in this profession, there's bite-sized pieces that parents can chew on in order to upskill themselves to be present in their life. And so that's why I feel like we're here today with you guys being professionals, giving us the tools for our best next steps in upskilling ourselves.
Yeah, and when we're talking about this, it's literally feeds both sides, right? Because there's a shortage of people to do this type of work in USA, worldwide. On top of that, so if you're a parent over in Philippines, you should not have any problem finding roles that are cybersecurity related, and they're looking for security experts. So the journey is not the same as the 4-year education. Now you're an expert, right? It's 4 months of hands-on project that you were deeply involved in, and you rocked it because you've studied and prepped for it enough, right? So the world is changing. The world is changing in the sense that 4-year degree, great. You have some experience now because you've been kind of studying it. But education, experience, and certification, those three things combined, what do you have the most of? If you're leveraging 4 years of education, 1 day of experience, and 5 certification, that's not going to get you everything you want, right? So you kind of have to balance it with experience. So you have to do a lot of project, lots of these offline engagement where you're able to knock out a project and say we did it together in a team, and the team there's a vouch for it, right? Vouch for it to say, yep, when he did this, he contributed to this. Well, when she did this, she contributed to that. So how do you do that? You do that through a community, right? You do that through a community like Smart AI, right? Because you can come here and say, I would like to achieve this for this purposes, right? So that's what we've been doing since the inception of Smart AI community, is to research and develop and give people the exposure to things that they are very much educated on, right? Sometimes they even educate me because I don't know everything. So we did a lot of the gap analysis in our own understanding. All of a sudden, everybody's learning. But at the same time, we're getting that experience, that day 1, day 2, day 3, day 30. By day 30, you're able to speak on this topic because you've been doing it, right? You're already educated in it. You have some certification in it, but you're doing it with other people now. And these people are not coming from your university. They don't have the same professor. They're not going to care about the grades. They're going to care about how do we execute on this project. So one of the things that we did, and I'll tell you, it's a little bit advanced, but it was worth it, because what we did is we tried to figure out how to do patient care using AI, specifically for Alzheimer's dementia as a memory care. So we literally ended up with some data research, and that data research was how to minimize the data so that way it can be processed in an environment that is in your home, right? Not necessarily somewhere in the internet, but in your home, right? Because if it's in your home, that means nobody else has access to it, unless the security falls apart a little bit, right? So it's really hard to attack each home individually, unless the perpetrator has that specific reason in mind. So we said, how do we minimize the data? So even if it's taken, nothing will really come out of it, right? So what that means is that we have to do modeling of the data and talk about the data in a way that make sure that data is secured, had some security built into it. So when you think about cybersecurity, the reason I gave you that example of research is because the range is vast. And that's what's confusing about artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, data. All these topics are super vast because you're not talking about securing somebody's email. You're talking about securing somebody's data that you don't even get access to see it, right? So there's a whole lot going on. Like I said, it's a worldwide internet. How do you do what you do? Have to start with something that you do as a project. And Smart AI Community, we're going to start our new cohort this summer in a few days. And we're going to be able to do this sort of research and take it out there and tell people about it, right? So certification, Brian, if you want to do research and get your hands dirty, come to me. And if you need direction in life, where you're getting, go to Bobby. But all in all, you got to meet with Masako, first of all, to go through that championship, like she's going to make you the champion of all of this. So Masako is the lead for that, right? Of course, we are here as a Smart AI community to help everybody. They should feel like they can approach us, right? We're approachable. That's the key, right? We're approachable. You should be able to reach us. And the last part, I know it's a long spiel here, but last part of it is that this Smart AI community is a community of practice. So this is what we're doing. We're practicing how to discuss artificial intelligence while we're doing things in artificial intelligence world. Cybersecurity will be our core focus for this summer. Last summer, we focused on data modeling, which means that it's machine learning, it's AI, great stuff. But guess what? Not everybody knows statistics very well, right? Not everybody knows all the tools very well. But cybersecurity is in such a high demand. We said cybersecurity and AI has to be the priority for this summer, right?
Absolutely.
So that's what we're going to do in our community practice. Community practice means you meet as often as possible, right? So we're going to meet every week, and we're going to meet for a few hours, and we're going to do some project. And as we do that project, we're going to learn, we're going to keep ourselves sharp by other people's knowledge and experience those kind of things from other people's perspective. So that's the community of practice. And I highly encourage anybody that's listening to join. If they join, they should also encourage other people to join as well, because I think they will see the value in it for sure. Because everybody that did Smart AI Community, Bobby can testify to that, they have learned AI probably a lot faster than they thought they would learn about AI, because they were doing a presentation within a month and a half. Yes. Some gentleman did a presentation about digital twin. He's never heard of digital twin before that month and a half. All of a sudden, he's doing a presentation.
You said one phrase to me that it hits home: community practice. And yes, each of the things that you guys are subject matter experts in is not going away. Data, AI, cybersecurity. Yeah. These are positions with longevity. These aren't jobs. These are careers. This is something that, you could be proud to do, and you could choose your hours. You can choose your life. You can choose how you want to live. That's right. The whole thing is like working multiple jobs, not being present for yourself, not being present for your children. Obtaining a community practice and aligning with an organization such as Smart AI, and you gentlemen being subject matter experts, you truly care. You care about what you're doing. It shows with how you move, how you speak, you live, breathe, and eat it. And so individuals that are looking for something more than what they have right now, the next best step is to align with you guys in a community project, because it is about the community, and that's bottom line. You don't have to do this life alone.
That is absolutely awesome. And not only do I agree, if it's scary to people, bring your own community, right? So get a group of friends who y'all been talking about it, come and do some projects online. The thing is, it adds value sometimes when you have people to go through it together. It's not brain surgery, Ultimately, we need a lot of people with the advanced skill set to train against some of our very capable competitors out there, some of our most dastardly and despicable enemies. Brian can really speak to it, but we really got to do something about those evil Canadians.
Those geese, man. Those geese, bro.
Oh man, Bobby. Yeah, I always tell and for those that don't know, we at our group we teach cybersecurity. We teach folks to get a certification. So if anybody's interested, you can reach out to myself or a SIF, and we'll get you taken care of. But one thing, Masako, that came to my mind when we're talking about what you're doing, which I think is phenomenal, by the way. And I've been communicating a lot with a lot of single moms and trying to understand the importance of cybersecurity, because not only do you need to be secure as a mom, but you got to make sure that the kids are secure. So it's one thing that comes to mind is there was a movie that came out a few years back called The Missing. That movie encompasses everything from a non-techie person. Like, you don't even have to be a techie person to hack. I don't want to spoil it, but for those that are interested, watch The Missing. Nia Long stars in it, and basically the synopsis was the mom went missing. Yeah, the mom went missing, and the 16, 17-year-old daughter was literally doing what we call reconnaissance or information gathering using social media.
Oh,
And she was able to find wherever she was in the States, but she was able to look at cameras in other countries and found the last location where her mom was. It was amazing, but I think it really speaks to moms, or just even not only moms and their kids, but the movie really emphasizes on the strength of the community and how it's not even a techie space. This is things that we all can do. It's just that Bobby, myself, or Sylph, we're familiar with the verbiage, right? The techie verbiage. But for someone like Masako, it's as easy as going to social media, locating where somebody is. You just happen to go there, bam, you just found somebody just based on social media. So it's little nuances like that that really helps us understand how simple this whole cybersecurity is. It's just when you get around the verbiage of it, I think it really starts to make a lot of sense to a lot of non-technical folks.
yeah.
Absolutely. Shout out to Storm Reed.
I want to actually do something right now. This is a good segment because we're going to get into educating. Because last time I spoke to Brian, I said, Brian, look, we can chat, we can do a podcast. How about we give a sample of what people will have to need to know? Because if you hear some of the terminology, that's what we did in this podcast previously, is that we give you some terminology just to make you feel uncomfortable. Because that's what the first introduction of that uncomfortable is like. Then you get comfortable because you hear that word a bunch of times, right? I know I fumbled last time I tried to repeat something a bunch of times. It didn't work, but we're going to try it again this time. But what it is that we're trying to get you to uncomfortable so that way you can start thinking of the gap between what it is that you know and what it is that you don't know and how do you get there, right? So that gap comes up because you hear some words, you're like, wait a second, I never heard of that. But if you haven't, go watch that movie Matrix. It will all make sense. Matrix has literally everything what Brian will talk about, but you just have to watch a bunch of times though, because there's so many ways to understand what Brian will teach in next hour. But before Brian jumps in, I want to talk about Pine AI. This is the initiative by Pine AI, which is Andrew Ng's and Andrew Ng's deeplearning.ai. We're going to play a video from Andrew Ng, and if anybody's interested in learning more about AI, deep learning is the place to go. And anybody that has been in this AI space, majority of them, if they've been around for decades, they learned AI sometime at some point from Andrew Ng, because he's one of the godfather of AI. So I really appreciate Andrew Ng's program here. And what I will do is present that information to you guys because he's a cool guy. I like him. But he set up the Pine AI so that way community get to learn about what it means to have a good cybersecurity measure and good AI knowledge, right? Along with data literacy. So let's share that. Also, are you playing? All right.
Hello, deep learners. I'm Andrew Ng, founder of deeplearning.ai, and I'm excited to welcome you to our global deep learning community. I know that many of you are here today because you want to break into AI and build your career. I hope that being part of this community will help you to do so. To give you a proper welcome, I'd like to show you around the deeplearning.ai offices and meet some of the teams so you can see where it all happens.
Oh, hi, Andrew.
Do you want to tell our friends at Pine AI what you do at deeplearning.ai?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I make articles and other media that learn about AI and help them understand the huge impact that AI is having in the world. Today, I'm putting together the next issue of The Batch, our weekly newsletter, and I'm looking for the biggest stories of the week to keep our readers informed.
What's been the most surprising thing you've run into working on Batch?
How much is going on in this field? There is never a dull moment. You might think from the outside that machine learning engineers really understand everything about AI, but nobody understands everything about AI because this field is just coming to life right before my eyes as I put this thing together every week.
All right, I know you're really busy, so I'll let you get back to it.
Thanks. See you later.
Let's go meet Kian, who helped me create the deep learning specialization. He's working on an exciting new project. Hey, Kian. So do you want to tell the people at Pine AI what you're working on?
Yes, sure. I'm leading a project called Workera, focusing on helping people get offers in AI and navigating their career by testing their skills, preparing for interviews and certifying them, as well as matching and referring them to good jobs in AI.
That's really cool. And what's the most exciting part of your day?
The AI field is new. Organizations and jobs are still misunderstood. So I'm excited to help people understand what different types of jobs exist in the field, what tasks they will work on, and what skills are needed to achieve those tasks.
And that's really important work. Well, it's nice chatting. And now let's go chat with Hotel, who is on the product team.
Hey, Andrew.
Do you want to say hi to our friends at Pine AI and let them know what you're working on?
I would love to. Hi, everyone. I lead the product team in deeplearning.ai, where we create AI education content accessible to people all around the world. People like you.
And what are you most excited about right now?
I am so excited to see our community grow and to see how eager people are to learn more about AI.
Thanks, Hotel.
Thanks, Andrew.
So as you can see, our team is working hard to support you and help you learn. It's never been easier than before to break into AI. So if you want to build a career, you can leverage online resources available, including open source code, data sets, papers, and online courses like a deep learning specialization on Coursera. As part of this journey, I hope you get your hands dirty too. Don't be afraid of diving in to build your own project, or go ahead and try to replicate a research paper that you're excited about. One thing that I've seen help a lot of people succeed is if you can build a community or find a community of fellow deep learners you can meet with and study with on a regular basis. In fact, I hope that this Pine AI meetup that you're at right now will be a good place for you to meet these people. I hope you enjoyed the event today and that you learn a lot, both from the talks and from each other. And once again, welcome to the deeplearning.ai community.
All right. So big shout out to Andrew Ng, right? Yeah, this is actually something that hits home, right? Because if you think about a community, you don't get community overnight. Not this day and age, right? You have to develop that community. You have to build that up slowly, and this is why this effort is something that I want to be part of, because I want to grow the community, right? And grow the community where if there is need for help, God forbid, missing happens, who do we reach out to, right? Who do we reach out to? And in the business world, Masako, you can testify to this. Remember that term bail? You always need a banker, you need an accountant, you need an insurance guy, and you need a lawyer. You need bail, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
One of them will help you. No, we need to add maybe S to it. Bails, right? Security, cybersecurity.
Definitely has to be cybersecurity. What would it be? Bail C? I'm like,
Bail S, bails,
Bail C, bail. You need you need your cybersecurity, your banker, your accountant, cybersecurity. That brings me to this question that I have for y'all. I have it right here. What's the most overlooked cybersecurity risk in 2025 that boards and CEOs are not taking seriously?
Bad kids. No.
Probably the users.
Agree.
I would say the users.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to talk about vulnerabilities here, because you can assess the vulnerability like a breadcrumb, right? Well, that breadcrumb leads all the way to the end user, right? Let's do something. This is going to be a teaching moment to a lot of people. Remember a few months ago when the world shut down because all the computer screen turned blue because Microsoft went down. So you got a lot of things happens in the world where things get shut down. But when you got TV stations that's knocked out because TVs are not working, your hospital is not able to admit, your flights are not flying, everything is grounded. That's a shutdown. That's a shutdown that happened on the weekend where I was traveling from Dallas to Syracuse, New York. The worst traveling weekend I've ever experienced because I literally spent 3 days in the airport.
Oh, goodness.
And why do I say that, right? That's because everybody talked about this thing called CrowdStrike, right? Since then, they have had many funny names. I'm not going to mention any of them. You can look them up, CrowdStrike. So the CrowdStrike is who got blamed, and CrowdStrike took the ownership of it and said, like, look, single line of code that we pushed out did all the damage. And that came out within 3 to 4 days. That came out to the public in 3 to 4 days. But the way they solved it is they said, everybody pick up your phone and do this coding here. Why am I saying this? I want to tie it back to the community, right? Because they developed a good community, they were able to pick up the phone and call somebody. Somebody was able to call them directly and say, I need this solved right now. We're a medical institution. We cannot have this. Our disaster recovery process says, if something hasn't working, this is our final line where we call for help. And this is the number we called. We called whoever that was, right? Be it CrowdStrike, be it Microsoft, whatever. So they did. And some of the systems came back within 12 hours. Some of the systems didn't. And once that didn't, they were out for days, right? So by Monday and Tuesday, I think things kind of calmed down a little bit. But there's big, massive victims of this whole 12-hour shutdown or 48-hour shutdown. The CEOs really need to know when you have a disaster at hand, your disaster recovery means a whole lot to your company, a whole lot to your user, a whole lot to your user's trust in your company. So it's just a one scenario that we can all look back and say, wow, whatever that was, right? Thank God we solved it. But guess how long people have been anticipating this event to happen? For a very long time, I would say that. For a very long time. Because what was happening, and simply put into somebody who's a non-techie, is that data was not reaching where the data was supposed to go. So data that was at rest, which is wherever that data is coming from, did not reach the endpoint. It traveled still. It had no problem traveling. So data, if you called it from Ohio, it reached Australia as somehow it's supposed to get there, right? But you weren't able to see it. You weren't able to view it, which is the data in use, right? You're supposed to be using that data in your screen, but your screen weren't able to show it. So when you think about all these layers of complexity, It's as simple as understanding data is at rest, data is in motion, data is at use. Right now in front of me, I have a data in use. That data is being in motion behind the scene, and it's coming from wherever it's coming from, because Masako's not here. Masako's on the other side. So it's all coming together because of data in motion, right? And data at rest, data in use. So what does the CEO need to know about that? They need to understand these things about data, few things about data that makes everything else make sense. And I want to go back to that cross-track piece one more time. This is how you will understand how bad that whole scenario is. But one thing did not get mentioned, which is artificial intelligence. So what does the CEO need to know? CEO needs to know that the artificial intelligence are being used to attack, but artificial intelligence is also what's defending against this attack. So it's sort of like two AIs fighting each other, but your AI has to be smarter than the AI that's coming to steal your data.
Yeah.
So CrowdStrike, if you think about CrowdStrike in any ways, all CrowdStrike is doing is when there is a data at use, it's having that data at use done in a safe way, right? It's just keeping an eye on things, right? It's just, it's like just looking at what's happening in the system and say, this is not normal, right? Very end, like by the time data transmitted and data is at use, that point of data at use, CrowdStrike uses a thing called machine learning, which is artificial intelligence, but we're not going to go there. This AI piece, it executes and it does all sorts of things, right? But what failed is not AI or machine learning. That's why it never came up. AI and machine learning didn't fail. It's the legacy system that failed it. The whole infrastructure of traveling data from Ohio to Australia, what failed is the endpoint. There was a legacy system, legacy way of doing things while it was feeding AI.
Yeah.
I want to stop